See, now here we go with the bullshit. The Congressional Black Caucus PAC, okay, accent on the word PAC, are the ones that have endorsed Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, the way that they came out, they didn't separate themselves from the Congressional Black Caucus, which they are a part of. They, when they made this endorsement, made it appear that the entire Congressional Black Caucus was supporting Hillary Clinton, and that was a lie. But the way that they phrased it, and with the people that they had out endorsing Clinton, it made it appear as though the entire Congressional Black Caucus was supporting Hillary Rodham Clinton, and that is a straight out lie. And the people that are up there are being disingenuous. They should have specifically stated the difference between the two bodies, but they didn't do that. Here's a clip from MSNBC where a representative from the Congressional Black Caucus PAC is defending their position. And Representative Ellison, who is a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, basically opposed their view, as he is a supporter of Bernie Sanders, and he just wants to let everyone know that what they are trying to put out there isn't true. This is a traditional bait and switch.
I've endorsed Bernie Sanders. I think he represents opportunity. I think he represents a moral imperative. I think he represents a certain kind of truth that's not often evidenced in the course of politics.
You may recognize legendary singer and activist Harry Belafonte announcing his support for Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders in a video obtained exclusively by NBC News. It comes as Sanders and Democratic rival Hillary Clinton are really competing for the support of African-American leaders ahead of the South Carolina primary. Earlier today, Clinton earned the official support of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC.
There's no one else better prepared to be president of the United States of America than Hillary Clinton. We need her leadership, her vision, and her dedication more than ever before.
Okay, so now where was her leadership and her vision 20 years ago when she was calling our kids super predator and she was pushing that 3 strikes law? Now, I have a lot of respect for Representative John Lewis. I mean, he is one of the warriors that fought that fight. But he's going to make a statement that I absolutely, totally disagree with. And I'm going to play that portion of it now.
Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman from Ohio, Joyce Beatty. She's a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, whose PAC, as we just said, endorsed Hillary Clinton earlier today. Congresswoman, nice to see you.
I apologize. I thought that they were going to continue to play that clip. He basically disparaged Bernie Sanders by saying that he never saw Bernie Sanders in any of the activities for civil rights back in the 60s. And though he may not have seen them, he cannot say that Bernie Sanders was not a part of the march or the movement for civil rights. And for him to insinuate that Bernie Sanders wasn't there, in my mind, is disingenuous.
It's good to be here. Thank you very much.
I want to clarify right up front what happened today, because Keith Ellison, your colleague, another congressman, a Black Caucus member as well, he just tweeted, Congressional Black Caucus has not endorsed in the presidential race. A separate CBC PAC endorsed without, and he puts out in big letters, without input from CBC membership, including me. So it does seem that maybe not everybody within the caucus is agreeing with this endorsement.
When we made the announcement, we were very clear that it's the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. And today what you witnessed was the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC That's the arm that provides funds to candidates. We also maxed out Secretary and candidate for President Hillary Clinton. We also had board members who are members of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC to come forward and talk about how we support members who work hard and have a track record of success and who would be ready on day one to go in and be the president. So it was the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. 30 individual members of the Congressional Black Caucus stood there. I have personally endorsed very early on Hillary Rodham Clinton. I was there because I support the Congressional Black Caucus PAC for that. And so that board met and made their determination of who the Congressional Black Caucus PAC endorsed. So it was very appropriate, and it was a very proud moment for the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, those board members who spoke, and those other members who chose to be there lending their support, because we have a relationship and we wanted to make sure that our voices were heard, and that's why we endorsed her.
We just heard from Harry Belafonte speaking on behalf of Bernie Sanders, and I'm sure you're aware there's a lot of talk about Michelle Alexander and a column that she wrote, a scathing critique of Hillary Clinton yesterday. It's making the rounds. She zeroes in on Clinton's support for her husband's 1994 crime bill. This is what she writes. In her support for the 1994 crime bill, for example, Clinton used racially coded rhetoric to cast black children as animals. They are not just gangs of kids anymore, Clinton said. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. These are the words of Michelle Alexander. What do you say back to that, to those in the African-American community who are seeing Bernie Sanders as a better option?
I think we're going to see a lot from a lot of critics, and a lot of folks will have their take on what happened 20-some years ago. I think we have been more focused on where we are today. I think when you look at Hillary Rodham Clinton and her meeting with the mothers of those young African-American boys who were slain, having Hillary Rodham Clinton come to us and talk about wanting to be helpful in reforming the criminal justice system, standing with us on civil rights issues so we can correct many of the things that happened 20 years ago.
See, that's a bunch of bullshit, because a leopard don't change its spots. And this broad has got the nerve to jump out there and say 20 years ago, Hillary Clinton was against black people 20 years ago, and now because she knows that she's got no chance to win the Democratic nomination without the black vote, now she's pandering. That's why she went up to Flint, Michigan. She was pandering then, and she pandered out to the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, which they didn't use any energy in making sure that people understood the difference. So for these people to get up there and say what they're saying, they're basically trying to sell us out again, and I absolutely do not know why.
I don't think any of us would stand today as we look back in hindsight. I think we can take many things. We can talk about her position on common sense guns, and we could then compare that with what other candidates, including Bernie Sanders, what he's not doing. But we're going to stay focused. We're excited about going into South Carolina and working with that community and pushing the agenda, the civil rights agenda, the reform agenda, education and child care, reflecting on what she did as a young lawyer working with Marian Wright Edelman. So
see, now she's going back into history again, and Bernie Sanders has the right to do the same thing. Bernie Sanders has a proven track record of working for civil rights. Bernie Sanders' opinions and thoughts and desires have not changed over the 20 years, but you can't say the same thing about Hillary Clinton. So for this woman to get up there and try to talk about history on one hand, but then not want to talk about history on the other, basically today there are more minorities in jail because of actions that were taken by her husband and pushed by her that have hurt the people than any other action taken in the last 25 years. So again, it's another bait and switch, and you have to really become politically savvy, which a lot of people aren't, in order to be able to discern bullshit when you hear it.
I think there are a lot of things that I believe that we can take from her past and we can make it very relevant to where we are today. And that's what's important for me. Where we are today, how we're going to move this nation forward, and how we're going to be helpful to African Americans so we can finally stop the pipeline from school to prison.
She created the fucking pipeline from school to prison with that goddamn 3 strikes law. So what the hell are you talking about?
Many of the things that she's been working with us on.
Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, clearly a supporter of Hillary Clinton. Thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
After